my name's Michael Bosey. This is my podcast, Marketing Without the Marketing. Try to teach you everything that I know about content marketing, 10 minutes at a time. And, I've been in the middle of a social media strategy series just because I've gotten a ton of questions about this. I spend a lot of time on content strategy in general, helping people try to figure out how to use content to build an audience with blogging, podcasting, using videos, organizing your content, timing and frequency, optimization for SEO, all these things that are around producing good content. But I just kept getting tons and tons of questions about social media. And in particular, some of the questions I get are very particular to a certain platform. For instance, lately, a lot of folks have been saying, hey, should I use Snapchat for business? And look, I can't answer that for you directly. You might be able to, or you might not. But you want to make sure that you're not just sort of listening to just the demographics only. These platforms, or at least the major ones, they have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users. And, there's probably some portion of your audience that might be there. Then it's just about finding a mix of the content you can produce that might be interesting to your audience and make sure that that overlaps with what they need or what they're seeking. Now, the thing that I hear about social media and marketing in general is, that this new way of content marketing is really difficult and it's hard to get it to work and people are impatient. And, like for instance, people will come to me and say, well, listen, Michael, I've been blogging or I've been doing social media and it does not seem to work. Now, of course, there are plenty of counterexamples that will prove that it can work if you do it right. But when I do an audit of these folks, I see that what they're doing is largely push marketing, right? So in other words, using the 20th century conception of media and just pushing content out there and hoping that people will find it, see it, and come back to your site. Now, listen, this is not going to work in the new media environment. The first reason is just that there's so much noise out there. You're just not likely to be seen. As I've been talking about in the social media series, for instance, Facebook's organic reach is way, way down for brands and businesses. And there's good reason for them to do that, to try to preserve your experience as a user. But it's really hard for brands to do that now. So now you've kind of got to pay to up that reach. Now, so you're not likely to be seen. So that's the first reason. And then the second reason is just, you think about it, if you're just constantly pushing content at people, remember, their default stance is who cares? That's their starting point. If they don't know you and they don't trust you, who cares about what you do? Now, that might sound harsh because, look, your business is really good, produces a product, a service that people want. It's really good quality. All that's awesome. But if I don't know you and I don't trust you, I'm not likely to check it out because I've literally got hundreds, if not thousands of other things competing for my attention. And that makes it really, really tough to cut through the noise. So to me, the only way to do that is to build trust with your audience. It's the only way to use these new media tools. So you got to get bidirectional and you got to start talking to these folks as people, not just as data, not just as numbers or whatever. Look, you can't control this. This is the thing that's hard about this. And yes, you do have to start with pushing content out there. But, social media and blogging can be done in much more of a pull fashion, rather than the sort of aggressive, self-serving push tactics. And that's why I started this podcast, right? I wanted to help with this because I really hate that type of bad marketing. You know what I'm talking about. Think of the pop-up ads that you get when you're trying to read an article online and they're asking you to sign up yet before you've read the first line. You're like, look, I don't even know you yet. I've not even read the article. Why are you asking me to subscribe? Like, give me a chance, for God's sake. And then TV commercials that get juiced by about 6 to 12 decibels over the program level. So you know the experience, right? Where you're watching a TV show and all of a sudden the commercial comes on and it's just blaring at you. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Stuff like that just drives me absolutely crazy. Because think about it. All it's doing is trying to force the marketer's priorities on you. That's not why you use the web. It's not why you watch TV. Yes, we understand that you're trying to make some money on this. We understand how the transaction works in television. We understand how it works on the web. But still, let me experience it first before you start forcing your priorities on me. Like, let's get to know one another first. How about that? And, all this comes down to, for me, respecting your audience. Stop trying to control your audience because you can't. Look, the internet is all about trying to democratize connection. And yes, you can make arguments against that, but for the most part, it tends to move in that direction, which means that we can connect with one another if we like. And yes, we're often doing that through private companies who have their own agendas, fine. But for the most part, we can connect with one another. And this is a huge opportunity for brands. But listen, you've got to respect your audience. Let them come to you. Produce content that will be of value to them. Do it over and over again until they decide to take the next action. That next action might be as simple as sharing a post of yours. Great. That's kind of a payment of sorts. That next action after a few interactions might be to actually make a purchase. But listen, don't try to force it on them. Nobody likes that. Respect them enough to say, hey, listen, I'm going to give up some control on this. I'm just going to try to do right by you until you decide that you want to do business with me. That's the only way to do this. And this is kind of the core of what this whole podcast is about. This is why I call it marketing without the marketing. Because, all those sort of aggressive marketing tactics, we're sick of them. I'm sick of them. And, I want to try to help people run their business the right way. We can be business people and be nice to one another and be nice to our audience. And honestly, to me, it's the only way to stand out, which is, hey, listen, let's have a relationship between me, the content producer, the business, and you, the purchaser, buyer, audience, whatever. Let's have an actual relationship because, listen, if I'm helping you actually solve a problem, whether that's through a free product, through a paid product, or through consulting, and it's of good value to you, then you're going to trust me and you're going to come back. Great. And you can do this in your business too. You don't have to sort of succumb to these self-serving tactics. Get away from the push and move much more towards the pull. And the only way to do that is to build trust. And trust is going to come in the form of a relationship. So it can't be one way. It's got to be about you and your audience talking together, not at one another. And if you can do that, you're just going to have much more success. And listen, yes, it's going to come slower, but I would always argue that the pace of that, the slowness of organic growth is absolutely required in building trust. You can't gain trust immediately. You just can't. All right, so you know what? I think I'll stop there because I didn't mean to get on a rant, but it's just something that's been kind of bugging me lately. It's come up in a number of different questions, comments, things that I've seen posted, and I just thought it was good to just address that because that's kind of the whole point of why I'm doing this. And I hope, if you've been following along and you're subscribed to the podcast and all that, I think you probably agree with that. But, the best thing that you can do in this case is to share this. And there's lots of other folks too who are kind of, trying to make marketing better and make business a little bit better. Share that. Make sure that people understand that you can do this the right way and just get the word out. I mean, I feel like this is kind of a mission or a campaign of sorts, and not to get all, on a pedestal or soapbox or whatever. But wouldn't it be better if we were all, just doing business and being nice to one another? I kind of think so. So, all right, but I'll stop there. And I'll get back to the social media strategy series and get back to serving you rather than just, ranting. All right. Again, I really appreciate any attention that you give me. It is a gift. So I really appreciate you your attention, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.